This is Finnabair with Prima Marketing, and we are going to start our last class of Notion's Commotion 2021. And I'm going to give you a moment to join, but please get ready and tell your friends that we are starting, because the time is coming, 1 p.m. Eastern time. So I'm ready here and I'm waiting for you. And together with me is going to be Sharon Lakonen from Prima Marketing. She's going to answer a lot of your questions. And I'm very, very glad to see you all joining. And it's great to see you here. Sharon is here. She is my huge helper. She's going to be able to give you all the information, all the links, all the numbers, proper product names as well, because sometimes when I'm in the creative zone I keep mixing up the names sometimes, so you have to forgive me. And I'm very, very glad that I can have you all here in my studio. We are in East Galway, so west coast of Ireland at the moment. And I'm very, very glad that you are joining. And I know you had a wonderful time creating with so many talented teachers, and the projects were just absolutely beautiful. So I'm very glad that you're here. I've got altering project for you. We are going to book on any kind, work on any kind of book, which is hardcover, maybe stretched canvas or wooden panel, whatever you have. And it's going to work really, really well, because this set of techniques is very versatile. You can apply it on almost every kind of surface, which is kind of fun. And of course, books are very easily transformed into art journals as well. And they will be very nice ones as your family albums as well, if you remove some of the pages. So there are plenty of possibilities. You can also work on the chipboard book cover if you have one. And to make it easier for myself, I will just open my iPad so I can see the comments at the same time when I'm going to work. And huge greetings, and I'm missing you all as well. This is very, very hard that for me that I'm not able to see you in person, but you have to forgive me. There's not much I can do. Okay, I can see myself. Just give me a moment so I can join my. Okay, where are the comments here? Swipe left to reveal comments and reactions. Left. Wonderful. Okay, so this is how it works. So we've got some, the crowd is joining. Thank you so much. Good afternoon. Welcome to my studio. I'm absolutely happy to be here with you. And I hope that you are ready. We don't really need any special tools, just general set of tools such as brushes, palette knives, some surface to work on, for example, the book, spray bottle, and one clear adhesive of your choice. That would be the most important things, and your heat gun. Thank you. I'm very, very glad that you are here. Thank you for the kind words. I don't think so. Really, if you have an elastic band going, you can just work around that space. It's not going to be a problem at all. I really usually keep it until last moment, and then I try to arrange my embellishment this way so I can even hook it on some of the embellishments. So this is going to work really well. Don't cut anything. No. Thank you, Maggie. Hello, Myrto. And, Arizona. We have very international group here, so it's always a pleasure. It's a little bit like seeing you during the show in Frankfurt or during Creativation. So that is really huge pleasure for me. As you can see, I'm here in my own creative space. We have fire on behind me, so I'm keeping myself warm. And yes, the wall of glory. If you are wondering if you should just work on the book or on the canvas, pick what you've got, because the techniques are going to work really the same. And thank you, Sue. And this is just whatever is convenient for you. Books are nice because you can turn them into something else, right? Or you can use them as a journal. I'm using vintage book for this presentation. And there were questions during my last show when I was inviting you. And you were asking what is the size. And I measured with the ruler that it is 5x7 book, but anything similar to that is going to work. And remember, we also have the other side, so even if your canvas is slightly bigger, you can use that space, because we have in fact double spread to do. Okay, oh lovely. So let's look at the kit. So we will going to use a lot of different products which are from Prima. And of course, we are going to use them in different stages of the work. But you should have two tubes of art mediums. One is modeling paste and one is gesso. Yeah, watercolor panel works really well. Any surface. We start with gesso anyway. You should have a tube of white pearl wax, set of chipboards, 3 sets of mechanicals, so the metal embellishments, and a jar of pebbles, 2 colors of paint, and whole set of micro beads. If you don't have gesso, you have just modeling paste, grab any white gesso you have in your studio. Hopefully that was, you know, it's going to work anyway. I'm just thinking probably somebody forgot to put it in the bag. And some useful tools as well. So I hope we are going to get ready. I will switch you to the look at my table, so you will be able to see everything, and together we are going to work on it step by step. And if you are mixed media novice and you are not really confident, don't worry, you will see the whole process is quite fun. It's a little bit like cooking. Yes, heavy gesso is very okay to use. It's in fact, it is heavy gesso. Yeah, my gesso is heavy gesso. So Heather, you are all covered. Okay, so everything will be shown step by step. You have instructions, but I can't promise I will be following them exactly, because I always make things in the most convenient way, and I think it's much easier when you just see what you are doing. Okay, so now let me take you on to my table. I put you on the screen in front of me so I can read the comments, hopefully. And now, just adjusting the position, so hopefully you are not going to get seasick for a moment. The instructions, so they were emailed to you directly from Prima Marketing. And if you probably should have them in PDF file in the email. But if you are worried about instructions, I'm going to show everything step by step. You can come back to them later. Okay? So we are going to work on surface, which is sometimes very temperamental. Old books, they are covered with different kind of finish. Sometimes it is fabric, sometimes it's kind of a special book, and you know, some kind of special book chipboard, and sometimes they are simply dirty because they are old, or they kind of oily as well because they were waxed to preserve. So if you want to help, it's a good idea to take baby wipe and clean it before painting. It's going to be just easier to put any kind of art mediums on it. I just know from experience sometimes they behave in a funny way. Yes, 8x8 will work. So I'm just going to give it a little bit of a cleaning. You can see original color of the book is coming off. This is kind of not a surprise, right? So I'm just going to wipe it with the baby wipe to remove the possible dirt or grease or whatever is on the cover. And then we're going to start with putting the primer on the top, which is going to make our work easier. So all the layers, all the surfaces will just stick better on the cover, and we are not going to have too much trouble, because sometimes because of this dirt or this natural wax coat, they are kind of trying to chip off. So it's just, you know, for your safety and for easier work to start like that. The letters are not too big on the screen, so I hope I will be able to see. Yeah, I should be able to see what you are saying. You don't have to really worry about the surface. Anything you have on hand, it's going to be fine. If you feel it's very, very wet, we can just start with drying it quickly. So don't worry. So if you don't have instructions, you just follow me, and I will repeat everything if you need to hear again or see again. And then you can come back to your other email, and this way you're going to get the access, so it will be easy to remember. This is the first product we're going to use. This is Art Basics Heavy Gesso made for Prima marketing. So that is going to be our primer. Books usually have different colors, and as I told you, the surface may be temperamental, so I would always start with the coat of gesso, even if I like the original color. And if I really love it and I want to keep the original color, I will just use the clear gesso instead, but it's a must to use the primer, otherwise my textures or my elements may chip off. Today we go for the white background. You can see that this book was originally probably green as well. And so very similar situation to what we have here. And we're going to put nice coat of the gesso on the top of front, back and the spine. So I just do it with any kind of flat brush. Usually I prefer to have softer ones. The other ones are quite dirty. If you want to protect the pages, you can put the paper towel in here. So this is going to be a little bit of isolation. And this way, it will be a little bit easier to control. And one coat and good drying is going to be perfect start. You don't have to repaint it completely white, because we are going to paint again in the later stages of the work. You just need to smear your gesso everywhere so it's turning matte. If you feel it is very, very thick because it's heavy gesso, you can dip your brush in the water, what I'm doing now, and then you can make it a little bit thinner to make the work smoother. And then we continue until the whole book is painted. Front, back and the spine. If you don't have gesso on hand, you can use white matte acrylic paint, but it has to be matte finish. For example, white impasto will work. Impasto is paint I made for Prima marketing as well. It's very, very matte finish. You can see gesso dries quite quickly, so it is convenient. We don't have to wait too long. It's going to go quite fast with the drying. and then we will think on decoration of our project. Different kinds of gesso will have different thickness and different tooth in it. This one is quite smooth but thick because I really like to work a lot with textures. So if you feel this is too thick for you, you can always add a tiny bit of water to make it more liquid. But personally, I like to see the textures and I like to have my gesso on the thicker side. That's why it was done this way. You will also notice once it is drying, it turns a little bit transparent. This is a natural thing which happens with white gesso. So don't panic. We are going to paint it white later, and all the imperfections won't be really visible anyway. That should be enough. Okay. This gesso comes in 3 sizes. It comes in the tube that you have in the kit, but it also comes in a large pot, really large pot, and in the 250 milliliters pot of this size as well. So you will be able to find different versions depending what you prefer. Some people prefer to have small packages because they don't use a lot. But if you're doing quite a lot of projects in home decor and mixed media, I would say this size of the jar is going to be the best. We have most of the art mediums in this size, 250 milliliters, which is 8.5 ounce. So this is more like a sample size. But it's convenient, especially when somebody wants to try the product, or if you would like to pack it with you and go for a crop or go for vacation. This is what I do for vacation. Now we dry everything. Sorry, my heat gun is loud. You can dry your gesso and other art mediums from my range with the heat gun, so you don't have to wait. Of course, you can let it dry naturally. It takes a couple of minutes depending where you are. In the winter time in Ireland, it will take longer than in California, for example. You can touch and feel if it is dry. Like this part, I can feel I still need to dry a little bit. That should be it. I keep my gesso for the next steps, but I will close it for now. I put the brush in the water because it's good to keep it safe, so it's not going to dry up. And so far we have the first layer done. This is not even visible here because it is going to be repainted anyway, but the surface is ready to work on the top to create effects and composition. So now we are going to focus on adding the texture, to create unique, really nice looking grungy effects, which are going to be very visible later once we apply the paint. So I will give you a second to get organized, and I will prepare all the elements we need for the next step. Have you got any questions so far? Okay, so I just took out all the elements that will be useful for the next step. So you can get your palette knife or silicone brush ready. You even old credit card will do. Modeling paste, which is another tube that you get in your kit, the one with the orange label. And there are 2 large chipboards in your kit. They come in the packaging of 3, but we're going to focus on 2 bigger ones so far. So let me just show you the packaging. This is this item from Prima. That is item number 647322. Will your pouches be coming in different colors? Well, it all depends if people will like them and we will be encouraged to continue. I really wanted to have this item and I was hoping they're going to be popular because I really like the quality and I really wanted to have them as part of my range. So if they're going to be popular, we're going to make them in more colors. So far there are 2 colors, 2 sizes each. Okay, on the other side of the chipboards there are some 3D foams, so you can remove them. It's good to have scissors on hand as well. And now it's good to have some space to squeeze out a bit of modeling paste because we are going to use it more or less in a way like you would use your icing on the cake. So I'm going to use the other side of this palette so it will be easy for me to take it on my silicone brush. Oops. Yep. I have a good portion of the modeling paste. And now, if you're working on the canvas, you can imagine that your canvas will be a slightly different surface. I will show you an example. So this is maybe a little bit easier, okay? If you're working on the canvas, you can put the composition in the middle, so you will be using the corners now to create the textures I'm going to show you. So whatever I'm doing here on the back or on the top and of the bottom of the composition, you can place that in the corners of your canvas because this is the place where this is going to be really visible. On the sides, the middle is going to be the front of the book. So now we are going to add the special effects, which are going to be the surrounding parts of the composition. If you're working on the book, we are going to do most of the texture on the back, and then we are going to use the spaces on the sides of the cover, and then a little bit on the top and on the bottom. So wherever we are not going to put the embellishments, otherwise all our work will be not very visible. Okay, so just in case, if you're working on the canvas, you focus on the outsides of the composition now. Okay, so what I wanted to do, I wanted to use my chipboards in 2 ways. These are Prima chipboards, which are quite thick, which means you can use them without damaging them so easily. They are intricate, but not too delicate. So the first thing I want to do, I want to press them into the paste to create these special grungy impressions, almost like using the stamp. There were some techniques based on paste and rubber stamps. This is going to be similar concept, but we are using chipboards instead. And then once it is done, we can use the chipboards to stick them as parts of the composition as well. So I'm going to show you the easiest way I found to do it. So this is this very big chipboard, so I was thinking I'm going to use it on the back, like the big doily, on 2 sides of my composition. To get the best result, I have to have good portion of the modeling paste on the top of my cover. So I will start with the back, and we will going to do the pressing part. You can use your palette knife, or you can use your card, whatever you feel, and spread your paste on the cover or on the canvas, just like icing on the cake or mayonnaise on the sandwich, right? So we have coat that we can press the chipboard in. I will try to start on this side first, and then you can use your fingers or you can use the roller if you prefer. Some people like to use rollers. And all the imperfections are okay, because nobody is going really to investigate. It's going to add this natural grunginess. Don't keep it for too long because it will stick. This is a very sticky medium. We have one part done. Then we go on the other side trying to fit. And we do the same thing on the opposite side. So this is another way of using your chipboards. I feel I don't have enough of the paste here, so I will press it in a little bit. I'm cheating now, look. I didn't spread enough, so I can press it in with my fingers or with your tool. So the impression is going to be even better. You can pick up a little bit of that. And then again, we leave the chipboard carefully, trying not to damage it. If something went wrong, like here I damaged a bit, I can make another impression. Beautiful. That is very, very simple and quite fun. And this is the result we're going to get later. Very rich and very original, grungy looking effect. You can repeat it as many times as you like. For example, you can add impressions on the bottom. But on some point, you will realize that your chipboard is getting wet. So you have to start working faster. And there's like limited amount of times you can use it. Let's do the impression on the bottom. And you will see that this medium is very, very sticky. It's going to be our adhesive as well. So don't keep your chipboard for too long on the cover. That should be fun and really relaxing part. Ta-da, ta-da. And you know, if you don't feel there is enough, just use your finger, press it in. It's all about grunginess. Thank you, Myrto, and thank you, Sharon. We have our back done. We can put this poor chipboard on the side to breathe for a moment. You can even take your brush. You can even take your brush and clean it up a little bit, because we can use it as embellishment in the next steps as well. Oh, it's still alive, still in one piece, perfect. And now we can plan the second part of the cover, so the front. Here, I just want to remind you that there is going to be a lot of embellishments, right? A lot of stuff is going on. So the composition will be quite long. So you can try to use the other chipboard, this one, which is quite long and has beautiful detail on the top, to create like the top and the bottom of this composition. Okay, so it's another option to add creative texture to your project. If it's going to be covered, oh well, it's going to get covered, but it's fun, and you can try to press that part of the design and create quite a cool look. The big bubbles are coming, they are in the jar, so this is the next part of the project. Any questions for that part of the composition? I'm squeezing more of the modeling paste so I can press my other chipboard on the front and on the back. I'm trying to do it in a logical way, so I will spread it on the top and on the bottom, saving the product as well. Modeling paste is flexible and it's very white after drying. We're going to paint it white anyway, so there is always a chance to use that as advantage in this case, because of course there will be less repainting. But the other option of the product to use for this technique will be 3D gel matte or 3D gel gloss. The consistency is very similar, stickiness is very similar, so the result would be the same, just transparent. Okay, let's have some fun. Let's do one here. And again, pressing nicely. Relax. If you feel that, okay, this is too much, you can pick up the leftovers now with your silicone brush. Nice. And then we repeat the same story on the bottom. And again, don't leave it for too long. Very pretty. I just want to better. So this way, I will show you close-up look. We have textures at the front and on the back ready. I intentionally left some empty spaces because I would like to use the leftovers of my chipboard for some extra elements in the composition as well. So there has to be space. Yeah. So now I can try to imagine that my composition is going to be mostly in the middle here. So now I can organize the leftover chipboards to create some extra textures. You can use them as part of the corners, which are very beautiful corners. Mica powder, there was a question. My impressions are not as clear as Anna's. Heather, no problem. You take your palette knife, you smooth it up nicely, put a little bit more of the modeling paste. Maybe there wasn't enough, maybe you were too skinny, and press it again. Yeah, exactly, that's what I think. You probably didn't put enough. It should be like icing on the cake, okay? So good portion. So we will have the chance to make the impression. Yeah, just smoothen and press it again. So here we can now stick it as the corners of the composition. You can use it as a bottom part of the composition. It is really up to you. I really would like to use that one here, like pointing that way. So I'm going to cut it and take that part here. So now when they are wet, I will just use the same modeling paste as my glue. I'm just going to glue my chipboards with the same paste. Okay, this is what I can do here. This is quite pretty. I can in fact pull it a little bit that way. So I pretend this chipboard is a little bit longer and it's going to be visible on the other side as well. Can we add color to the modeling paste with the mica powders? Yes, you can, of course. You just have to mix it first into the color of your choice, and then you're going to have metallic version of modeling paste. Just remember, this is white paste, so it is going to make the colors a little bit more pastel and white. So put a good portion of mica powder. I have this small one here, and I'm quite tempted to add it already as well. I would like to make my composition a little bit longer, so I will add one part on the bottom and one part on the top. Sorry, you have to forgive my dog. She is saying that she's very comfortable in front of her fireplace. So if you can hear some funny noises, this is probably the dog making herself comfortable. We all work from home. Yeah, modeling paste as well as the 3D gels from Art Basics, and of course heavy body gel. They are very, very sticky art mediums, and they're intentionally made to be three-dimensional glues. So we can use them as the texture medium and gluing medium at the same time. I can put the corners here as well, just to show you the options. That is really pretty as a corner. I think I will repeat that idea. So again, modeling paste, I'm going to use it as my glue for all the embellishments today. You are not going to use the clear adhesive except the moment when we are going to put some image under the pebble, or when we are going to add a little bit of micro beads. This is the only time. I'm just pressing it in. Very easy. Of course, I'm trying to be careful because the chipboard is a bit wet, so I'm not trying to pull it too much. But as I told you, this is good quality chipboard, quite thick, so it's hard to kill it, to be honest. I tried before. It really takes the pressure easily. Okay, so we have like the base, the main texture of the project done, and that would be now a good moment to give it a moment of drying with the heat gun, so we won't smear it by accident once we start working on the composition. Okay, so you can see my hands are very dirty. I'm going to clean the fingers, and I'm going to use my heat gun to dry it a little bit. So if you have the heat gun the same kind of as I have, you can just set up your drying and clean your fingers. In the meantime, of course, I try to put it quite far so nothing is going to get burned, and if it's going to bubble, it means, yeah, it is too hot, but I can use that time now. Yeah, well, mixed media is usually about getting a bit messy, as Sharon pointed in a delicate way. Put your tools in the water once you finish, because it's sticky and permanent, so you don't want to clean it later when it is completely dried out. Oh, you forgot your water bath. No worries, just bring one. No, yes, there was a question about what to use for the chipboards. We are gluing with modeling paste. Gesso is not a good glue. Gesso is primer, and it's just a tiny bit sticky. Modeling paste is the proper stuff. So now we have a moment to get ourselves organized again. Hi Anna, what did you use there? Is it gesso? No. For pressing, I was using modeling paste, and for gluing, I was using modeling paste. So, gesso was to paint the cover, then we put it on the side, then we use modeling paste. Sharon, you are so sweet, thank you. So I'm using the baby wipe, and just, you will see modeling paste is behaving almost like your skin, so it's good to peel it off so you can feel your fingerprints again, you know, your fingertips may be useful. So yeah, this is what I do in the meantime. Almost there. Sure. I put it on the top and on the bottom. I will just dry in the meantime in this position so you can see. No problem, Brooke. I just did it to expand the composition. I'm trying not to hide the texture I created. It's just going on the sides a little bit. Sorry for the noise, but this is not hanging properly. No worries. You can arrange it the way you like, but remember, we try to keep it compact. We would like to have some space which is going to be just flat as well, because so much texture everywhere will be a little bit overwhelming. So I intentionally didn't put anything on the spine, and I left some corners empty. I can always add texture later if I will feel this is not enough. Thank you, Sharon. So look, I was cleaning my fingers and my heat gun was drying. Now I can check with my fingers how the texture is going, and it's half dry, which means I can touch it and nothing stays on my hand, right? So that means we can kind of safely continue. If you would like to just find the right moment without touching, it's turning matte. Once you will see it's turning matte, it means it starts to dry, and that means you can probably work easily on the top. Oh, look, here was a place I think I need to glue better, the very corner. So I use a tiny bit of the modeling paste here to make sure it's going to stay in place. The back, it's basically ready for painting. We are going to work on the composition here. So that may be a little bit wet. Just don't put your hand into it. Make sure that it's going to be possible to touch without any damage, and we can continue, go to the next step. We have time, you don't have to stress and worry. If you have any questions, I'm here and I can help. Just to show you how this is going to be after painting. I'm trying to fit two covers at the screen at the same time. Probably this way will be better. Wait. Oh, that's better. So you can see it's not exactly the same because I never do two compositions which are exactly the same, but we're going to use that surface as a back of the book just with colors, and here we're going to build the composition on the top in the next steps. So I use this chipboard here to create like a vertical line, and these long ones to add extras going. No, this is horizontal, this is vertical. So these are going vertically, and I use this biggest one to first make impression here in the back, and then I cut it in half and I made corners out of it. So okay, yes, Sue, of course, which is great thing as long as you finish a stage. For example, you finish doing the gluing, right? You're done for now. You can leave it for 5 weeks and you come back and you can work. because this is permanent layered, and that permanent layer is something that you can just come back whenever you feel it is the right time. So the only things which are time sensitive, I will let you know, like whereas the pressing moment, that would be time sensitive. You don't want your paste or gel, if you're using the gel, to dry out before you finish. But once you are just adding something, or you are painting and you are done with the painting stage, you can leave it. Yeah, this is that's true. I have a project I didn't really finish in 3 years. And it's still just the background. It's a brilliant background though. No worries. Okay, so you can check, how your embellished back feels like. If it's turning matte, it's okay. It's good news. That means, it will be safer to work here without touching that by accident. This is, of course, going to be nicely dry, probably in the end of the project. But the heat gun helps a lot. And if you are working in a class with your students, or you are just not a patient person, or you have time only this day to finish it, heat gun is the best thing. You can let it dry naturally, but heat gun or hair dryer is a great option to dry most of the art mediums. There are some exceptions, but we are not using them today. Well, no, there's no max waiting time. Stop stressing people. Maybe they want to do it in 5 years. Now, we are going to build the composition on the top. So if you are ready, you can start opening your embellishments. And we have 3 packages that are the metal elements. And there is a little jar with art pebbles, which we are going to use as well. So here we have 2 pocket watches, and one of them is going to be the focal point of the composition. This one. And the small one, maybe you're going to include it as well. These ones are really great as palettes when you use art mediums. So when I teach in the classroom, I usually say to keep them, and people can use them for mixing paint or for gesso. So this is a great way of reusing them, of course. Then we have labels of different, if bubbles, if you put the heat. Yes, these bubbles happen when you really make it scorching hot. Some people panic when it happens, but honestly, it's just another texture. So if you don't like it, you know how to avoid it. You just have to move your heat gun a little bit more. If you love it, just burn it and it's going to bubble. And it's a little bit like cake baking, I think. There are some similarities. So there are 3 labels. I was thinking we are going to use one as a part of the composition. You can pick any. I was using less perfection, more authenticity. But today I'm going to use the whatever you are, be a good one. Because I think it's a very good statement to say. They are embellishments I made for Prima as part of my mechanicals line, and they were inspired by the old plates you can find on old machines and the plugs that are visible in some places. And they're a good metal product. And I'm going to open also the last package. Beautiful rusty finish. They're called rusty gears. They're all inspired by machine parts, also farm machines, because some of them, they were just big parts of the machines that will be moving the hay, for example, or they will be used for preparing the soil for sowing. So, inspiration is everywhere, and they're beautiful rusty finish. Today we're going to paint over them, but in many projects you just leave them as they are because they have really beautiful natural rust on the top. And again, one more palette for your paint. And last but not least, pebbles. They are in the small jar, but there's 46 pebbles inside. I'm really impressed how people can put them inside of this jar so tightly. Your cakes always fail. Oh no! I hope this is not the true. I love cakes. So if you want, you can put them in a kind of tray so you see them a little bit better. And then on the bottom there is the biggest one that we are going to need. Oh, there are even two, I forgot. This is the size that we are going to use as our focal point here. So inside of the pocket watch. It's really, really large pebble. Okay? We don't have to worry about the pebble now. Just remember, don't stick one of the big pebbles. Leave it in the safe place because they will be important as our beautiful focal point. The other ones, you can see there's good variety of sizes, so it will be really, really easy to pick them in the, and organize them in a good way. Okay, so now we have to organize the space, and the easiest way is to pick the focal point, right? And then we're going to start from that outside. We don't have too many elements, but I will show you the easiest way to do it. And hopefully you're going to enjoy the process. And first of all, the best solution is to just pick the place where your biggest embellishment is going to go and then expand from there. Prepare your adhesive. Again, we're going to use modeling paste, and we are going to glue all these elements together. Large pebble on the side. You can use the pebbles later. Focus on the metal now, okay? We focus on the metals. We have good variety of sizes. I squeeze out more of the modeling paste. I'm going to use it for gluing. The biggest element in this composition is this large pocket watch. I'm going to glue it more or less in the middle of the composition. And then I can always lift it if I want to. I'm going to organize it together with the big cogs. For example, I can just start like a nice mechanical set like this, okay? So then it's a nice composition collapsing from one corner to another. Or you can go this way, and this is going to be your line collapsing from here to here. Right? It is really up to you, however you feel, but they have to be close to each other, so we don't make a display, we make a cluster. And now it may be important to have a look how I apply the modeling paste. You can use your other side of the brush. I just use the fingers, and then I put a big blob and I press it down. And then I will clean off the excess if it's annoying. So again, I put a blob, it doesn't have to be everywhere, and I press it down. So it's almost like pressing the chipboards, the same kind of concept. And then I can do the same thing with the focal point. So if you feel this empty spot, you can fill it with a bit of cardboard or even piece of packaging. I had some small piece of cardboard here I can use. So that is going to fill this empty space, so it's even easier to stick it on the top. But if you put a big portion of this paste, it's going to fill it anyway. I need just a square, apparently. Oh. Perfect. And now big blob of paste. Big, big, big. How does the modeling paste compare to the heavy body gel? It's thinner. Thinner, and it dries a little bit longer. And of course, it is not transparent. These will be the biggest differences. Now we have the main body. We can use our extra elements to expand the composition. I would be using now the plate, find a nice place for the plate. I think it would be nice to put it somewhere here so I can see the detail of the chipboard, and then I will use the other embellishments to fill the empty spaces, to go further with the composition. I'm sorry, there's no proper description. I think blob of paste, it's kind of the descriptive way of explaining what is the right amount. I'm trying to put, different shapes of the gears, so they are not the same ones next to each other, just to make it more visually interesting. So I'm trying to make a line of the cogs. I hope you can see it. Right? Maybe a little bit more up, so there will be no glare. Ta-dam, ta-dam. Come on, stay there. Yeah. Every time pressing down is important, right? So don't be afraid, just press. This is really, really cool little cog, so I'm going to use it here. I have 2 left. You can put them one on the top of another as well. Remember, this is even better because this way you create more dimensional feeling to it. Look. See? I'm going to show you closer. And now, if you have these blobs of paste you don't like, you take the brush and then you dip it in the water, and then you can clean it off a little bit. So this is not going to be so, grungy. I removed too much now and it's moving, so I have to go back and stick it. And then maybe one more on the top. I tried to use all of them, so there will be nice dimensional results. No, it's not holding here too well. Here, maybe. Every time a blob and you put it down. We are done with the metal. Now we can fill these gaps we have with the pebbles. One of you said you really like the pebbles. I would do the same thing. I would start with the bigger ones and find nice spots where we can put them as kind of visible embellishment. This one is really big. It will feel nice next to the big round clock. So I will put it first, and then we can use smaller ones, and finally the tiny ones to add details to our project. So let's say the biggest one goes here. Maybe we'll give it a baby brother, so it's not going to be too lonely. So I will put it next, like this. Right? And then I'm going to find another spot. They're going to add really lovely dimensional effect on the top of our cogs and keyboards, and also the flat background. So try to go with the big ones first, then medium sized, and then finally small ones. I try to go with the flow. So there's like a wave of embellishments going from top to the bottom, and I will follow the same wave of embellishments, filling the gaps with the pebbles. Don't worry about the color, everything will be painted. If you're wondering why I didn't put any pebbles on the back, I just figured it is hard to work in the book that has dimensions on both sides, front and the back. So I only decorate the front in a dimensional way, and then the back is going to make my journaling inside easier. You should have plenty of these pebbles to play with. There's 46 in a jar. So you can organize them in the way that is nice to you. You can imagine there are little happy bubbles of soap, you know, soap bubbles. Raindrops on flowers, yeah, they can do. Do you try to work in threes? Well, when it comes to pebbles, it will be hard to say because we are going with a lot. And these cogs, we are layering one on the top of another. So there are no threes anymore. It's a cluster. However, there will be like 3 big round elements, including this pocket watch. I would say it's variation of the sizes next to each other instead of sticking to uneven numbers. Because with that amount of the pebbles, it's really hard to say how many is finally used for the composition. This is too big here. I'm going to use it. No, this one is not fitting. I'm almost done with them because I can see I don't really have too many spaces left. I'm going to smaller and smaller and smaller. And if you want nice trick, you can use the baby pebbles to stick on the top of the plate pretending there are bolts. This is what I'm doing now. There are no stick rules with this kind of composition. You can just focus on the idea of the general cluster sitting together. You don't really have to analyze every detail because it works like one big embellishment. Let me have a look. This is what I have so far. You can see the baby pebbles on the plate instead of pepper. Sorry. Instead of the bolts. So they're going to create the impression this plate is attached to the cover. Sorry for my dog. She's so comfortable. This is the same size next to each other. That is bothering me, so I take it away. Yeah, the same story here. I want to add it somewhere, but yeah, this is the spot. This is what I have got left, quite a lot. So you don't have to be worried that you know, you have to use every bit from the kit. The pebbles are going to be part of the composition, but they are not going all into that. My dog is comfy to sleep. Yeah, I just have to apologize because my animals sometimes are very relaxed and they are not really sticking to the rules. They're supposed to be quiet. So, you know, these are nature sounds. Happy nature sounds. Okay, this is basically ready for drying. So I will leave it in front of you so you can have a look. But what I can do now is to create some kind of middle decoration when my heat gun is working on it. You can dry it the same way as we were drying with the back and the front. We just want elements to stay in place and not move. Pebbles are for later date, one of the 5-year projects. Yeah, they will hold. They are very, very sturdy. They will wait for you. Okay, I will lift it up a little bit. So it is drying. And I will prepare the space for the next step. I'm going to take away the modeling paste from the back of my palette. I will just keep the modeling paste on the table in case if something will come off. It may happen, sometimes we are not very careful when gluing, but basically this was it. I'm trying to dry from different angles, and when you are touching with your fingers, remember your metal embellishments could turn really hot, so try not to be too close to them when you are drying, okay? I'm glad it's going well. Thank you, Marjorie Owens. Okay, Marjorie. That's very nice. You have beautiful name, Marjorie. Oh, it's like a flower. Okay. It's not completely dry, but I'm checking with my fingers now. Okay. Sometimes they feel like they are still moving because they are so hot. So it's a good idea to let them cool down a little bit and then check again. I'm just giving it a moment of breathing before I will be able to determine if it's dry or not. Metal gets very hot when you are heating it up, so the gel or the paste you're using, it's also very hot. Yeah, I can't even touch the pocket watch because it is still very, very hot. Okay, they seem to be solid. You could say it was 3 minutes of drying, and this paste is zapping it all into the big cluster composition. If you are experiencing some difficulties with gluing, it's probably that you are trying to be too clean, which means you are trying to make it very, very nice and organized. Remember, we are going to hide all the imperfections under the paint, wax, and little microbeads. So you don't have to keep it clean. It's better to put more and press it down instead of trying to be super, super neat. This is not traditional card making or scrapbooking where the glue is your enemy. Here, everything is going to work together after painting, okay? So now I'm getting ready for the next step. So when you are finishing, I will take the things out. Now we are going to work on the color, which is fun. Fun. I'm glad we are the last class, so I don't have to push you to go too fast, because I know sometimes it is a challenge to do painting and gluing quite fast with me. So please don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. We are going to do all the steps together and you'll see everything. I'm checking if you have any questions. Yes, we would love to see your projects when you are done. Like if you take, if you take a class with me in person, you have usually all the color choices on the table, so you have more color options than with the kit that we have today. So all of them will be similar color palette, but I'm sure every composition will be a little bit different, and there will be different details to look at, and it's going to be so fun just to compare how our imagination works on the project. Exactly. If anything goes loose, just, you know, blop, press it down. One more thing you can do if you feel there's not enough texture, you can use the leftovers of your modeling paste, for example, and just add some freehand textures, like, you know, just tap it, like I'm doing now. Just to create the impression there's more texture happening. For example, on the spine here. And this is going to give some extra textures to, for the paint to stick on. Also, it's extra antiquing effect, especially if you're going to work in the shades of brown. This looks like old leather crumbling. I'm just tapping that to show you that effect later as well. It's really a freestyle texture, very relaxing as well. It's hard to go wrong, except the moment when you just put so much it doesn't want to dry, but it's very hard to do so, to be honest. This is really fast drying product range. I really made everything possible to keep them, on one hand, as sticky as possible, and then easy to work with when it comes to the heat gun, and to have this creamy, smooth consistency as well. So I'm, in the meantime, just tapping to give you a little bit more time to get ready. And then I squeeze my gesso on the palette. You glued your hair. Oh no. Use the water. It's going to be fine. A lot of water. I usually have gel medium in my hair when I finish teaching classes. I just dried this new texture as well. Class act. I was just adding extra texture with a bit of modeling paste, tapping that with my finger. You don't have that in the instructions. I was just showing that option that you can do so. So I picked modeling paste and I was tapping it in some parts of the composition which was very flat. Okay, maybe one more minute and we will go to the next step. Maybe 2 minutes. No worries, my pleasure. I'm making sure everything is dry. If the surface is dry but it's not set underneath, it's still paint over. Yes, usually it is really not a problem. As long as it's sitting together and it's not moving, it's fine. It will dry underneath in the next few hours. It all depends on how much medium you used. I always try to dry from the angles as well, so I'm like blowing under the embellishments, but it's never completely dry when I start painting. It's just the, you know, the feeling they're not moving. If the embellishments are moving, you should not start painting because it will be a pain. You know, everything will try to come off. It's just the, you know, feel with your fingers. If they feel solid, it's fine. Even if it's not completely dry, it is fine. Now, we come back to the gesso. We take heavy gesso again. We take the brush We squeeze the gesso on the palette. You may want to add a tiny bit of water again. And now we repaint everything. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect because soon we are going to add color on the top anyway. Okay, so we are repainting the embellishments, and all the parts of the cover that we still see are maybe not completely white. Okay, especially the chipboards, for example. So we cover everything with coat of gesso, then we dry, and then it is possible in some parts you would like to put one more coat, especially on the dark metal elements, or maybe on the some parts of the cover. It all depends how you feel. You can add a little bit of water to your gesso if you would like to paint smoother. My advice is to put thin coat so you're not losing your details in the project, and then repeat instead of trying to put a lot of gesso at one time. So this is better for the crispness of the look, instead of putting a and it's going to dry, taking away a lot of beautiful textures. The paintbrush I'm using, it's one of the brushes that I've got in my Art Basics set. There are different kinds of sets. There's 7 brushes in the set or 3 brushes in the set, depending if it comes with a texture tool or without. These are the brushes which are part of Art Basics mixed media line. This is the largest 1-inch brush from the set. As you can see, I love it a lot, and it is well used. It's a synthetic flat hair and very good for any kind of mixed media purposes. All the brushes you can see today are mine, from mixed media range from Prima, so Art Basics. The silicone brush we were using, it's also the same brand. Of course, I'm not using the new ones. I just use the ones I have at home. So they are, they work for the bread and butter. So this is what I do. I keep using them until they're completely dead. But silicone brush is very hard to kill. It is a tool that it's going to last because it is silicone blade, which is flexible. You can easily clean it, and you can just use it for gesso, for pastes, for really thin layers if you want to, and also for thicker layers as well. So we paint with gesso. In the meantime, I put the gesso here so you're not confused. If you have too much in the textures of the keyboards, you can try to pick it up a little bit. And now I'm going to dry, especially the front, to check maybe I want to repaint some parts with the second coat, because I know gesso turns a little bit transparent. This is coat of gesso number 1. Thank you, Notions Marketing. Gesso dries quickly, so it's easy to see if you want to repaint again or not. I will take just a little bit of gesso and I will add a tiny bit more on these chipboards here, because they look a little bit more gray than the rest of the cover. That looks nice. You can see I'm picking just a tiny bit of the gesso, not full brush, just a little bit. Thin layers work better. You have better, crispier look. And then maybe a little bit more on the embellishments here, because I can still see some rusty parts. Thank you. Brushes come in 7 different sizes, and there are sets which is all 7 brushes without texture tools, and there is a set of 3 larger brushes with texture tools. And by texture tools I mean tools like that on the other side. And then there's a set of 4 smaller brushes with the texture tools. And then there are 2 sizes of silicone brushes. I was using the bigger one today, which is 2 inches. 2 inches, you can even see the number. There's also 1 inch if somebody prefers smaller size. That should be it. I can put a little bit more inside, but here it's going to be all finished with microbeads anyway, so nobody will see what is inside. And again, brush in the water. Let me show you close-up look. The texture ends of the brushes are used mostly for creating effects in the paste or in the gel. So something that we did today with the chipboard, pressing in. You can use your tools. I'm just trying to find the one with the ending. I have many of them, but not all of them are with the... Oh, I think this is this one. Oh, okay. You can see they have like a comb on this side. And that means, for example, you take your paste. Let's say this is your paste. You spread it on your project, and then you can create special effects, and this way you have a tool to add textures for collage, for art journaling, and of course it may be done with thick gesso, so this is heavy gesso, with modeling paste, or gel mediums which are thicker, so 3D gel or heavy body gel. They are like extra fun tools, especially for creating dimensional effects. And because they kind of work the same, you know, they from the same group, I decided to make sets of the brushes that have the tools on them already, so you can just work 2 sides. And it's easy to clean as well, it's silicone. And you can remove the tip if you want to wash it, so it is all possible to do. So usually on one side you have a blade to scrape off, and on the other side you have the texture tool. So there's a blade, and here's the texture tool. All of them are different. Every brush has different tool. I'm glad you like the combo idea. I think it's very useful, especially when you want to pack your tools for traveling. You go somewhere and you would like to go compact, so you don't take too many elements. You just take double-sided brush and you have already the texture tool in it. So now I'm going to dry for the last time. Oh, yeah, the brushes are out of stock. I would have, maybe Sharon knows. because we keep reordering them. The problem is there were some of the manufacturers were having a break because of the COVID, and that was interrupting. Yeah, January 19th. So that is good news. It's probably coming. So not long now. Okay. Again, I'm peeling off a little bit of the modeling paste. And now we are going to work on the coloring. We are going to do it in 2 stages. First is going to be using the acrylic paints, and this is the new product released in November. New colors from liquid acrylics range. I picked ochre, which is golden brown, and crimson, which is lovely shade of pink, red, purple. Connection is lost. I can still see you. I didn't lose the connection. Try to refresh. Winter Wonderland. Yeah, a bit. It looks like a snowflake here. So we take these 2 colors. It's good to have a sprayer with water of any kind. Good. Okay. I can see myself, so I'm hoping that this is okay. So we need a sprayer. We need these 2 colors. So crimson and ochre. You can shake the bottles. There's a little bit of the, a little ball, so it's helping you to move the pigment. And then I suggest to pick small brush, because if you take a big brush, it's going to be harder to control the paint. So for example, this size, right? So in the new release, we have 6 new colors, and these 2 are from that release. The other new colors, it was lime green, Prussian blue, that is very popular color, and then nude, which is a very delicate, dirty pink tone, and finally coral. Coral, show yourself, coral. Oh, she's shy. Coral. So these were the new colors, and they are the same formula of the liquid acrylics we had before. Very pigmented, liquid, permanent, glossy paints. So they are the paints which you can use in many techniques, and one of them is using them with sprayer and water. Yes, a little goes long way, as Sharon said, so that's why small brush. So now we will play with the colors, and we are going to work almost like they are watercolors instead of acrylics. So we are going to dab a little bit of the color and then use the sprayer to let them flow and mix. If you want to start in a safe way, you can start on the back of the cover, so you will feel more confident. Squeeze out a little bit, like centimeter of each paint. Yeah, maybe 1.5 centimeters. That should be enough for now. So liquid acrylics. And now you can have your sprayer in the other hand, just to have it, you know, easily, and then just dab a bit of that color with your brush. Just like you were spraying, but you were applying that with the brush. And then spray the water on the top. Let it flow. Don't wait, because you want these paints to react with water. And when they're dry, they're permanent. So, you know, we're basically placing them in the selected place by brush, and then we let them mix with each other. And if it happens that you have those dots, clean them off with the water, no problem, okay? especially crimson color is very, very strong. So be careful when you pick it up. Okay, so we are playing with the puddles of color now. I'm just adding more of this ochre. And you can see when they mix with each other, they create like a raspberry pink, which is absolutely beautiful color as well. And you can move your cover so they will flow nicely. Start on the back so you will see what happens and how they react. It's going to be easier to work on the front and you will get more confidence. Okay, I quite like what I've got, but this part is missing a bit of color. So now I'm adding a bit more of this brown ochre. A tiny bit of the crimson. Be careful with the crimson, it's really, really strong. And let the paint and water do the job. Just let them go. Okay, let them go. My brush is not really wet. I just use it here on the top. So because the cover is wet, my brush is turning wet as well. I have water here to clean because I don't want to pick up too much of the water. Right? And that would be it. You can just start a little bit, stop it for a moment, like now, and make it permanent now with the heat gun. So once it is dry, it's completely permanent effect. So once you like it, you can take your heat gun and you can even use the heat gun to move the colors a little bit more if you like. You can always paint more on the top, but remember, this is acrylic paint, which means completely permanent after drying. This raspberry color is really beautiful. So it's from the combination of the ochre and the crimson. You can, move your cover so they can flow a little bit more. You dry it until you feel this is dry. If you put a lot of paint, it's going to be glossy after drying. So don't be fooled. It's almost like a nail polish. It is going to feel glossy. It's very easy and also very intuitive technique. You can just start with 2 colors for the beginners, and then it's going to be really lovely combination. You can use any 2 colors which are, complementary color palette, or any kind of colors that would be the neighbors. Oh my god, the complementary is the opposite, and the other ones are the neighboring. So I don't remember. Spray bottle skew. Moment. They're Prima bottles, but oh wait, haha. 586003. I found one with a sticker. 586003. So it's almost dry. It was just a little bit here. Now we can see, is this finished or you want a little bit more? It's still wet here in the spaces, but if you want to add more, now on the top of that you can add extras. So you can take your brush and then, add a little bit more of the brown in some places. If you feel like, adding a little bit, you can add a little bit more of the crimson in some parts. You don't have to think after one time it has to be perfect, right? You can continue your work But remember, every time when you dry, you make it permanent. So that means it's like it's securing what you have. And this way you can go in steps. Also, when it's very, very wet, it's hard to control. So it's better to take breaks, dry it, and then continue again when your surface is dry. Okay? So this is not like one time and done. You can play longer. And if it's too much, you can pick up with the paper towel, of course. What is nice about these paints, they are not getting lighter or darker when they dry. They just have the color as you can see it. So that is one of the advantages as well. It's great quality pigment in quite affordable price. So I would say they are a lovely alternative to other fluid acrylic brands. There's some water here. I'm chasing that with the heat gun. That is easier. This color palette is very boho, so you can feel like it is maybe a bit out of your comfort zone. If you're more vintage person, you may go with much more of the brown and just a tiny bit of the crimson for the contrast. But these colors really work beautifully with each other. So now, when you got the confidence and you know what to do, we repeat the same thing at the front part of the cover. We do the same thing. We take a small brush, sprayer, and then we try to create interesting composition. Try to keep some white spaces as well, so it's not going to take too much attention. It's not going to take away too much attention from the composition. Try to leave a little bit of the white if you can, of course. Sometimes it's hard. Okay, so I'm starting again with the brown. I have to refill the brown because I use more of it. And I add water so it is flowing. I will add a little bit more of the ochre. You will see these bottles of paint will go very long way. So you have them in the kit, but you will be able to make many books like that with these two paints. And then a bit of the other color as well. Crimson is very, very strong. Just a little bit, remember, take a little bit. Ochre is much easier to control. And then again, water. When you paint this way, every time you do it, it's going to be a unique project. You're never able to make it exactly the same as previously. Something is always going to be a little bit different. So that's why it's a really beautiful thing about mixed media. It's really flowing, a lot of water. I will try to do a little bit of the darker here. Groups of color and they are mixing on the edge with each other. It's like a group, one group color here, one here, and then the background I want to keep mostly clean. I would like to make sure the plate is visible as well, so I make sure the paint is on the plate. Don't worry about the color, it's going to get softer because we're going to just add white pearl color on the top of it as well. Just using the leftovers of the mix of crimson and ochre. And I'm ready to dry to see what is happening here. Oh, you have to be really busy because nothing is happening in the background unless I'm out and I don't even know that we lost the connection. But no, I think we are in. Yeah, I would say it's a raspberry color. Thank you for saying something, Sharon. For a moment I was feeling like, okay, we may be lost. Dry it, check, and then you can always add more. Yay, thank you, Melissa. Thank you. You were so quiet. Peacefully painting, okay. Good. I will dry my first layer of the front cover. I will see if I want to add anything more. Remember, we're going to clean it up a little bit with white, so if it's very colorful, don't panic. And this is just combination of two colors so far. Remember, when you go with a lot of textures, it's better to limit your color palette so you are not competing with the textures. The textures like to be more monochromatic because this is how they are shining with the beauty and all the richness. The color is very aggressive, so it takes away a lot of attention. I really want to dry in all these empty spaces. I will move it different ways, so if something wants to drip, it will drip. Ah, there was one. Honestly, it looks good. I can do a tiny bit more, but it's just for fun. The colors are nicely saturated. There are nice groups of brown, there are nice groups of crimson, and then there are some middle tones as well. I can always repeat. As you can see now, I'm doing the same thing. I just dipped my brush in the water and I'm using the sprayer again to create a bit more of the flow. This is alternative to traditional misting and spraying because some people are struggling with being precise. So brush is giving you this opportunity to control the process a little bit more. And because this is permanent paint, you can work with these effects, make them secure with the drying, and then you can work on the top to create, you know, extra adjustments and to get the results exactly the way you want. So it's maybe a bit more controllable. That's why some of the people may prefer this way comparing to traditional spraying. That's what I heard from students, so I'm repeating that information for you. But honestly, I'm almost done here, so I will dry it, give you again a little bit more time for working on it. Thank you, Sharon. You are so good. You are the best cheerleader. Me too. I'd love to see the results. I can use the paper to pick up all the puddles of water that I don't want to dry. If I don't have patience, I can always do it this way as well. You are so cute. Now, let's have a closer look at what we've done. And now we're going to work on the finishing touches. We have one more layer of color to put on, and then just a bit of beads and a pebble. And it is going to be really finished. So, as you can see, so far we used gesso to prime the background. Then we used modeling paste first to create the textures with the chipboards and impress them in. Then to glue all the embellishments on. Then we came back to gesso, heavy gesso, to just prime everything and remove the color so it was all completely white. And now we are using liquid acrylics in ochre and crimson to create the watercolor permanent look with the brush and water spray. Yes, exactly. As Sharon said, you can change the look completely just by changing the color combinations and slightly changing the embellishments, and it's going to be a very different looking project. As you can see, we are not so far from the final look. So I will give you a moment to reorganize your space. We don't reuse the paints now. We are going to focus on white pearl wax. Okay, white pearl wax. It's in your kit, in the packaging, like this. Yes, I know, the cracks of the books are trying to show. If you have the cracks, it's just lovely. Here we have all these textures we were creating with the modeling paste, and that just looks gorgeous. This is the next medium we're going to use, and waxes are usually finishing touches product because they are resisting to paint and water. They're like furniture wax. They're protection, but also they're a highlight. And I wanted you to try, and this is white pearl, which is the new color, new release, just like the crimson and ochre November. And this color goes with any kind of shabby, any kind of elegant, and also grungy, especially winter projects. There's something for that. When you open your wax, it's the same kind of wax as we had previously in the tin. We changed for tubes, listening to people's suggestions. You just open that with the other side, just like toothpaste sometimes. Some of the toothpaste have the same kind of sealing, and some of the paints. You open that, and then squeeze a little bit on your palette. It's beautiful pearl color. See? Maybe that much. And then you can close it. This is very small project, so I would not use big wax brushes. I've got wax brushes like that, and they are too large, and I would try to find something smaller. So I usually have like 1 or 2 very old brushes, which I keep here, and I use them for smaller surfaces if I want to apply the wax with the brush. All these metallic whites you can see on the cover, they are all done with the white pearl wax. And I usually start brushing with the brush, putting that on, and usually I finish with my finger because I can highlight a little bit more. If you want to get more highlight, you put 2 layers. If you want delicate highlight, you're going to put 1 layer. It's up to you. So if you can just have a look how I do it. If I use the brush, I try to push this wax deeply in the brush, and then I get rid of the excess. So it is not going to be like a big lump. You can use it on the paper towel. I use my hand. And then you can start just highlighting, brushing, touching, right? Look how quickly it is transforming. It's pure mica in the wax base. So your work is going to be done very quickly. The smell is a vanilla smell. Yes, it is some kind of a bonus, as Sharon said. So you're able to highlight with the neutral white using the brush, and then you can put more if you like, using your finger, just to touch like a double coat. This is going to dry permanent in about 10 minutes. You don't use heat gun on it because it's going to only melt it. We just let it dry naturally like, furniture wax. Something, it's like a candle. You should not heat it up because it's not going to make it dry faster. See how quickly I got beautiful result. There's always somebody who is going to be complaining about the changes. We had some complaints, of course, but I think there's more advantages than disadvantages, and it's extending the life of the product as well. People will be, even if they don't close it, it's going to be less exposed to the air, so it's going to take longer to dry up. So that's another great thing. I'm doing the same kind of brushing on the chipboards on the back, right? You can do it wherever you like, but now I'm going to use my finger. I do it the same way as with the brush. I remove the excess. I'm going to rub it on the top of that texture. Just look how nice it is. All the texture we were making with the chipboards, now I can just rub with my fingers and highlight the tops, and that is changing so quickly and so beautifully. Oh, thank you, Jane. That is so nice. Yes, that looks pretty, and this is really nice finishing touch. I prefer using fingers because I can feel where exactly I'm touching, but sometimes, it is not possible to put your finger that deep. And be careful with the wax because just a little bit goes a very long way. So if you don't want to feel like, oh, I use too much, try to squeeze bit by bit. This is like the most fun thing ever. Try not to wax everything, okay? Wax is like one of the most really best-selling mixed media products, together with acrylic paints and basics art mediums. It is like many people's favorite because it's so intuitive to use, and people can get results easy to control. The only thing which is important when you play with this product, it is not possible to paint on the top of it with paints. So once you use the waxes, you should not really come back to paints anymore. You can do a little bit of a splatter like we are going to do now, but nothing else. And that is enough of the waxing for me. That was very quick. I'm closing the wax, and now I'm going to play a little bit with the extra touches, and then we will add the final texture and the pebble. No heat gun this time, no need to dry. Yes, the waxes are the final step. If you would like to add some dynamic look, like here you can see I have some splatters. You can splatter some paint from your brush. Just remember, add water first. I still have this crimson paint here, which I didn't use. So I can water it down, and now I can add some extra splatters just by hitting and creating more dramatic look here and there. So I don't feel bad that I have too much on my palette. I just water it down with a bit of water. Some people really love splatters on everything. I told you it's very boho in color palette, but if you can imagine that in, for example, blue, white, and a tiny bit of vintage brown, it will be so much like galaxy effect. Or very winter if you go in the blues and purples. Just giving you ideas with different color combinations. I will try the splatters. Oh, thank you. That's good to know. Yes, I did it many times. Especially when I'm splattering gesso. Yeah, this is not possible to avoid. We all do that. So I'm just trying to dry it so it won't smear. And then I will explain the last step. Freckles, yeah. It should be dry, yeah. So again, close-up look. The splatters are, extra touch. It's adding something more dynamically, the little bit of the interest in the empty parts of the composition. I'm crafting my... This is why I wear the apron. Look at my apron. So, for the finishing touches, we can use microbeads. This is something that you also have in your kit, and there are many options of the colors. There's a package, as you can see, hard to show. So there are 6 colors inside: silver, copper, bronze, white gold, yellow gold, even black. So these ones are, of course, for you to pick and choose, because it's really up to you. I would say for our composition, probably the best color will be copper or white gold. You can mix that with some bronze as well. If you really like shiny, you can mix it with a little bit of the yellow gold as well. If you prefer really cold, it's not going to be bad with the silver. So I think maybe this one I made with the white gold. The glitter, no. Unfortunately, we don't have glitter in the kit. We're using micro beads only. So here I used the white gold color. Now I'm going to use combination of silver and white gold. 2 tones together. Why not? And now I would need you to take any kind of clear adhesive you use, because we need to just stick it. I'm going to use soft gel. This is one of the products I also have in the line. We're going to use a tiny bit of the clear adhesive. It just, you know, usually the best one is going to be the one that you apply with a brush. Okay? You have glitter in your kit? Wow, you have extra bonus. I didn't put... Maybe the glitter was a gift. I think glitter is a gift. Have you all got glitter in the kit? Because I don't. No, when I was originally making a whole pack of glitter. Somebody is really lucky. Yes, you can use glitter if you want. That, yeah, thank you. I just got like, huh? I didn't put glitter on the list. That's why it is not on the order sheet as well. But if you want, you can add glitter. I'm using a bit of soft gloss gel, which is medium, which is liquid, that is completely transparent after drying. You can use any clear adhesive that you like. It is going to hold the glitter, apparently, and micro beads. And of course, now I would start with the beads, and then we're going to focus on the last, you know, element, which is pebble. I'm going to use small brush again. Okay, lucky you. You all got glitter. Oh, well, so you have some cool stuff as well. You can see my brush was a little bit dirty. That's why my brush is pink. Try to ignore it. First of all, I want the beads to stick inside of the pocket watch, right? And it's going to be really nice inside. So I put quite generous amount of the transparent glue inside. Quite a lot. It's better to have more than not enough. And then I'm going to add more in these parts that look maybe not so attractive. For example, in the cracks between the embellishments. I'm trying to show you where I'm applying the adhesive. It may be any transparent glue of good quality. I'm using soft gloss gel from my line of products. This is not included in the kit. This is the only product that we didn't include, but you got glitter. Right? So I'm trying to put it in the cracks in between. So it's going to fill the empty gaps. And now when you are doing that, you can cover all the ugly blobs of gel or paste you don't like. If you put too much of the modeling paste somewhere, now is your chance to cover that with the gel and later with the beads. Yes, glitter or micro beads, whatever you got. Okay, I have the micro beads. So I'm just, if you open, also glitter has the same solution. There should be little holes like the shaker for salt and pepper. So you can start shaking that on the top. It's a little bit easier for application, and you know, these things, glitters and beads, they like to go everywhere. So I'm doing that carefully. And of course, I will tap off the excess. I mix these two colors And especially I want a lot inside of the pocket watch, and I'm trying to even press it with my fingers. Pretty pretty. Now closing, and we tap off the excess. Now, I probably need to clean up a little bit because, as always, I was too generous. So I take clean, dry brush and I try to see where I have too much. Maybe here I need to move a little bit to reveal the structure of the cogs. Maybe moving it a little bit here, sweeping that into the places I would like to reveal. I've got silver and white gold together. These two. So I'm wondering, what are your choices? Because all of these choices, maybe except black, are going to be good ones. This is a very nice set of metallics. Okay, and I try to sweep a little bit so you can see the text as well. That is beautiful texture. Now I will dry it. And then we will put the pebble in. I know it's so hard to resist, especially when you have, you know, the selection of the shiny stuff. I am so tempted to put it everywhere. And the best part is when you mix it with the gel and you create, for example, the bead and glitter gel paste. That is so cool. I dry it so this is going to stay securely in place. Of course, it's going to be completely permanent when the glue will dry, but just to show you with the glue I'm using, so the soft gel, right? I'm using the soft gel. This one, I'm not just touching now with my fingers and nothing comes off. So this is the great thing. If you have good quality adhesive, this is kind of secure, so you can touch it a lot and these beads are not coming off. Okay. So now I let it breathe. And I will just explain how I made my pebble. This is the big pebble. We were supposed to... Oh no, this is not this one. This is even bigger. The biggest possible pebble. It's going to be the focal point here. Oh, it's even pretty like this. But the glue will change it. So it's nice to put something inside that is going to be the focal point. Originally, I found some images of the butterflies and I was trying to pick the smallest one. I've got some, they're graphic 45 papers, but it may be anything. Try to find something that is going to fit. Like this is too big, but this one is kind of okay, right? Or you can take vintage photo and you can find a nice face you would like to put inside, very romantic, maybe a child. They work a little bit like magnifying glasses, so you know, it is sometimes creepy, like this lady looks a bit creepy because her face is even bigger. So it may be also the text. If your book is about something and you can find some nice text, you can pick part of the text. Oh, thank you. This soft gel comes also in the big jars as well, in the 8 ounces, like 8.5 ounce. So this is just, again, a sample size. I'm going to pick one of the vintage photos. Like there are two girls, two friends, and I'm going maybe to use these friends. They are all stickers from my collection I made for Prima. This is art daily stickers for art journaling. And there are some really interesting faces here. So I'm going to pick one of these. Maybe the friends. Yeah, friends together really go nicely with this statement, whatever you are, be a good one. So that says a lot about friendship. So now, when you want to stick the paper on the back of the pebble, it's important there will be no air, right? So you have to press it nicely. It's maybe easy if you have, something soft like foam, you sometimes use for stamping. So when you're going to press it, it will really go. Again, we use clear adhesive. So for example, soft gel, you may use glossy accents, you may use any transparent glue that you have on hand, but it has to be really transparent. So I'm going to use a bit of that, keeping that away from this pink paint. I put quite generous portion of this gel on the back of the pebble. And I'm just going to press it on the top of the face. Oh, come on. My fingers are sticky. I want them both to be together. Because so you can see they're hugging each other. Okay. And now I press down. Will glossy accents work in the soft gel part? Yeah, I think so. Glossy accents is quite strong glue. You just have to apply it, quite generously, so it's going to catch all the beads inside. Right? Now, removing any imperfections, pressing that down. My fingers are so dirty. I take the girls out of this misery. It will be much easier if I clean my fingers. I clean the pebble on the top as well, and I dry it a little bit with the heat gun, of course, so the gel will dry. It's so nice. Any image, any quote, anything you like, you can do it later as well, because this is the last step we are doing. So you don't have to feel like, oh, you have to come with the concept now. Just anything that feels nice, matching the composition, the color. I use the butterfly, but I don't have any more butterflies that will be fitting in the size. It may be any image you find and something you like. Something from the pattern paper, maybe some text. I give it a moment to breathe again. Any image, any number will work. Exactly. It just the matter of your preference, whatever you would like to see there. I think these are absolutely cute. Two friends hugging each other. We all miss the hugs now, so this is perfect. Okay, so now I will just dry it again, just in case. You can see I was trying to press it nicely so there will be no air bubbles, right? Just in case if something goes wrong, you have two pebbles in this size, so you can do it again. Yep, again, my fingers so dirty. And now I can just cut off the excess of the paper. I take smaller scissors. Ta-da! And now it is ready to stick on the top. And you can use the modeling paste because it's quite bulky item. Just make sure it's not going to be visible on the sides. Or you can use any other adhesive you trust. I usually trust the thicker mediums because they hold these kind of dimensional elements better. So I will take a bit of this paste. It's white, so I have to make sure it is not going anywhere on the outsides. And then I put the girls on the top. Oh, I will have to clean it because I pressed too much. So I take the brush, I pick up whatever I don't like. Oh, sorry, I touched the screen. Ah, sorry. No problem. A little bit more of the glue and a little bit more of the beads will solve the problem. Ta-dum, tum, ta-dum. And done. Yeah, soft gel would also do the good job, just put a lot. So this is, you know, now it's uneven surface because there are beads under it. So all of these will work. Just soft gel, just a little bit more. Remember, put all of your brushes in the water so they're not going to get too dry. Later, when you have time, you can wax the edges of the book. So this is not going to be so green. This is what I did with mine. But now let it dry a little bit, okay? So I just put the wax on the edges. You can do that so it does look more natural, for example, or you can paint it with gesso. But I would just let it dry for a few hours first, so when you are working inside, nothing will come off, nothing will get moved by accident. So this is finished project. Congratulations, you did it. Yes, thank you, Sharon. You can find me on Instagram, on Patreon when I teach classes on regular basis. You can tell your customers if you want to, on YouTube and on website finnabair.com. So all these places are possible to use. And of course, YouTube and Instagram and website, they are kind of connected. A lot of my design team members are using these to post their tutorials 2 times per week. So on the website you see Monday and Friday fresh tutorial with the video done by my design team, and when I make my own things I post on my Instagram, which is called Finnabair, and I post on my YouTube, which is called Finnabair Studio. So these are the ones that I prepare myself, and this is all free source for you to use. You can use them as inspirations for the classes. You can use them as inspiration for projects for your customers as all. And if you're looking for some more detailed classes, you can always join me on Patreon for a small fee per month, and then you have access to 2 live or recorded classes per month minimum, if you want to do that, or even 3 if you go on the higher levels. And this is always either a project or inspirational information, or we were having series about ways of composition, about focal points, about colors, about textures. So this is all ready. So there are many ways you can get information, but honestly, finnabair.com is free and a huge source of inspiration for everybody. So I'm here to answer all the questions if you have any. I will put these 2 books together now so you can compare the result. You can see this one is a little bit whiter, this one is a little bit more yellow. It is because we use different colors of the beads and a little bit more of the ochre color here. Every time when you create the project, it looks tiny bit different. It's always personality shining through. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Notions Marketing, for organizing this event. Thank you so much. I will just say my goodbyes to you. I will hold it so you can still have a look. I will post the images this weekend, so hopefully maybe tomorrow, maybe on Sunday in the group, so you can see like the good shots of the final result. And now I just do quick shots, but you know, it's dark here in the middle of it's almost 9 p.m. here, so that's why the photos were not going to be great quality. So the good shots I'm going to post around the weekend, after the weekend, okay? Thank you very much. You are so kind. Please visit my my Instagram account. Please visit our website. I really try to keep it active, and I post on Instagram every day. Either that is the place with the project, but also other things related to creativity and creative life. You can send your customers there if they are looking for a bit of inspiration. You can send them to my Patreon if they would like to attend online classes on the regular basis. They can watch them anytime. It is something that you can just subscribe to and then watch like Netflix. This is how it works. And we have private group for them as well. And please don't forget to visit our finnabair.com website, tutorials twice a week. That is like, you know, endless source of inspiration for the projects, for the classes, for your customers, and for you. And Prima also has beautiful inspiration on Prima website. There is a blog with the projects as well. They include and a lot of mixed media products, because the Prima design team also uses a lot of my products as well. Prima generally is very focused on education, and you can learn almost anything. If you just dig a little bit, there's plenty of resources. Okay? If you have any questions, I will be looking at this a little bit later, you know, so if you have something, I will come and check. Stress reliever. Thank you, Stacy. This is great to hear, because I believe this kind of product should be therapeutic. You know, it's hard to say that there's something wrong to do here if you will follow the general rules that things have to be dry before you put more on the top. And if you get a little bit familiar with the basic art mediums, these are really fun to make, and they really give you a lot of creative freedom. The wax of the brush, yes, hot water and good quality soap. So no, you need something that removes the grease. So it's like washing dishes. If you had something oily, you have to use dishwashing liquid. So the same with the wax. You can use good quality, you know, strong soap and hot water, or if it's really very complicated case, shampoo works really well. And also if it's really the hopeless case, you can use a solvent for oil paints, but honestly, soap or shampoo or dishwashing liquid is enough. Thank you so much for your kind comments. You are very, very sweet people. Thank you so much. I really love to work with people live, because this is my prime, you know, my how do you say that in English? This is my profession. Yes, this is my profession. By profession, I am a teacher. Well, a teacher. I'm an adult educator. So when I have an opportunity to work directly with the people, I absolutely love it. And if you have any questions about the product, we are always trying to post a lot of passion. Thank you. We always post a lot of information on the product around the release time, but if you go back to the YouTube channels, there is always video explaining how to use it. There are videos, for example, once we released the waxes, there were videos on how to use the waxes. And when we released gel medium, we were explaining the differences between different kind of gel mediums and different kind of paste. And from time to time I re-upload this kind of content in a little bit different angle, so you can always find that you are not left alone. We really have plenty of resources, so it's good to keep an eye on two channels when it comes to mixed media. So it's Finnabair Art Files, which is tutorials from my design team, and Finnabair Studio, which is mine, and then there are either projects or tutorials coming. And Prima, of course, has their own YouTube channel as well, but this is great source to give to your customers. So if they're looking for the information for the product, just send them, because we do it for you. We do it for you to have easy access to everything. I'm glad you enjoyed the class, Denise. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for organizing, and thank you for the lovely comments. Sharon was helping so much. Like, she's the best person to keep the conversation going. She knows everything and she's so sweet. So she's my best supporter. And I'm just here happily creating, and she is giving all the important information to you. Check the steps. They are on the page, so you can, there should be PDF. I was trying to write down all the steps for you. So that should help you together with that video to work on it again and again. And I just wish you a wonderful creative time. I hope you can see how many different projects you can do using similar set of techniques. You don't have to just do a book cover. It may be a box, it may be a frame, it may be the cover of the family album. It may be a canvas on your wall, and instead of the pocket watch, you can use any other kind of focal point. Maybe a frame, it may be a photo, it may be some beautiful elements done, like a casted element. Endless possibilities. If you need more information, if you need more inspiration, visit my YouTube channel, visit my Instagram, and visit my design team members. We will give you plenty of ideas. Yes, Sharon is my sister from US, and we really miss each other now because we can't hug and we can't see each other for such a long time. Last time it was so long ago. Thank you very much. And if there will be any questions, please leave the comment. You can tag me as well, Anna Dabrowska, and I will be able to see it better. Sometimes Facebook gets a little bit confusing because there's a lot of things going on, and I will be able to see that comment faster. So thank you for watching. It was so great to have you here. Thank you. And again, the photos of both of the projects, you have the old one, but I will try to take, in good lights and the setup, so you will have a reference for this one as well. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Gita. I'm just checking if there are any more questions before we'll go. I'm glad we are the last ones. We are not taking anybody's time. Thank you, Sharon, for the help. Okay, so I think we're all good. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Notions, for organizing this event, for for our lovely retailers. Thank you for coming to watch me live. I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Visit me in my studio soon. And if you need any of the links, we will try to post it here so you can find the website, we can find the Instagram, YouTube, Patreon, whatever you would like to find. We will make like a pack of these so you can look for more inspiration. Have a wonderful creative time. Thank you.